You have the passion for research, but do you have a problem statement for your research? This is where most PhD scholars get stuck. They pick a topic that is either so broad that it becomes unmanageable, or already in an over-researched area, or so vague that they can't even find a place to start. A PhD is not just about studying a subject, it is about solving a specific problem. If you pick the wrong topic, you are setting yourself up for years of struggle. Today, we are going to apply the GAPS framework, a step-by-step method to turn your general curiosity into a specific, defensible, and high-impact PhD research problem that your Doctoral Research Committee will be thrilled to approve. ResearchInfoZone welcomes you to the third episode of the PhD Proposal Roadmap series, From Idea to Defense. In episode 3, we are tackling the biggest decision in your PhD journey: how to identify and finalize your research topic. First, we will learn the GAPS framework for finding your research niche. Second, we'll run your topic through the 3 killer tests of feasibility, novelty, and significance. And finally, I'll give you a live action guide on how to verify if your idea has already been done, so you don't waste your time. Let's start with the big question: why do most scholars struggle with topic selection? Scholars often choose topics with broad interests, or with no gap awareness, or often with a topic beyond the expertise of the supervisor. The solution is a systematic framework, not luck, not guessing. Let's define a research gap. Think of the current literature in your field as a giant wall of bricks. Your job is not to build a new wall. Your job is to add a single, solid brick to that wall. A research gap is an unanswered question, unexplored topic, or missing perspective in a specific field of study. Use the GAPS framework to find where that brick goes. The framework has 4 main categories. First is what is known. What is the established truth in your field? These are your foundational theories. Second, we try to find the unknown. What are the new trends or technologies that haven't been studied yet? Next, we search for research which are contradictory. Where do two famous studies disagree? When two experts argue, that's your golden opportunity to step in and provide evidence. Lastly, we find the areas that are understudied. Is there a specific population, a specific geography, or a specific context that has been ignored? Every research gap falls into one of these 4 categories. Here's how to use gaps. Read 10 to 15 recent good quality research papers, preferably published in last 5 years in your interest area. For each paper, note what's known. That is their findings. What's unknown, or what they didn't study. What's contradictory? By finding if other studies disagree. What's understudied? Look for new context they didn't cover. Cluster similar gaps and you'll see patterns. Pick 1 to 2 gaps that match your curiosity and your supervisor's expertise. Let's understand with the help of an example. Suppose you are reading papers on e-commerce and customer satisfaction. The known findings may be that urban customers in metros are satisfied with delivery speed. The unknown area may be about the lack of research on the rural customers in non-metro cities. We may find some contradictory studies showing price matters most while others say service quality matters most. The understudied part may be that no studies on e-commerce in North Indian industrial cities like Amritsar. Thus, we can arrive at a gap: customer satisfaction in rural e-commerce, North India understudied. That's how you find a topic, by systematically scanning for gaps, not waiting for inspiration. Don't look for a topic in isolation. Look for it in the conflict or the silence between existing studies. That is where a PhD-level problem lies. Here's a pro tip. Use the conclusion section of papers in which authors often say, future research should explore. That's a direct gap hint from the researchers themselves. Write it down in your ideation journal or research ideas diary as suggested in episode 2 of this series. Let's see this in action with another example. Suppose the starting point is climate change. This is too broad and certainly not a PhD topic. Step 1 will be to narrow down the research domain. Say, climate change and agriculture. That's still broad. Climate change impact on crop yield in India. Better, but still nationwide with a wider geographical area. Step 2 should be to add specific context. Like, climate change impact on wheat yield in Punjab. Now we are getting specific. For step 3, use gaps to find the gap. Known research maybe in climate change is reducing wheat yield in South India. Unknown areas may be about North India's industrial cities. Let's presume we find contradictory studies, where some studies say temperature is key while others say water availability is key. Understudied issues may be about the absence of studies on Ludhiana's urban heat island effect on wheat. In step 4, we can finalize the research problem as Impact of urban heat island effect on wheat yield in Ludhiana, a mixed methods study, 2024 to 2027. This is a defensible PhD topic. Here's the formula. Broad interest focused towards research domain which leads to specific context, which gets synthesized with gaps-based gap for a defensible PhD problem. But here's the catch, gap is an umbrella term. If you just tell your thesis committee or journal reviewers, there's a gap in the literature, they're going to ask, what kind? Identifying the exact flavor of your research gap is what turns a vague idea into a bulletproof research proposal. Let's break down the main types. First is the evidence gap. This happens when new research findings flat out contradict widely accepted conclusions. It creates a glaring inconsistency in the previous literature, leaving a trail of conflicting data that desperately needs a tiebreaker. Next up is the knowledge gap. This occurs when previous studies do a great job of reporting what happened, but completely fail to explain why it happened. The underlying cause or mechanism is a total mystery, and that's where you come in. Third is the practical knowledge conflict gap. This is the classic disconnect between established academic theories and real-world workplace application. It arises when a framework looks perfect on paper, but hasn't actually been tested, or simply doesn't work, in a specific, real-world setting. Then we have the methodological gap. This happens when previous research relied on limited or weak methods. By stepping in with a fresh, robust approach, like switching from basic surveys to a comprehensive mixed methods design, you can uncover entirely new layers of insight. Fifth is the empirical gap. This arises when a theory exists, but there is a severe lack of practical, observational, or experimental data to actually back it up. You are providing the hard evidence to prove whether the theory holds weight. Number 6 is the theoretical gap. Similar to an empirical gap, this identifies a disconnect between an existing theory and real-world observations. However, in this case, the available theory itself is simply insufficient to fully explain the phenomenon we are actively observing. The model needs an upgrade. Finally, there is the population gap. This occurs when previous research has been conducted on a very specific demographic group, but those findings have never been tested or proven in other populations. Your job here is to find out if what applies to one group holds true for everyone else. Identifying your gap isn't just about pointing out what's missing, it's about defining your entire purpose as a researcher. Look closely at your literature review. Which of these 7 gaps are you about to fill? Before we settle on the topic, we must run it through the 3 tests of a PhD. Test 1, feasibility. Do you have the resources to finish this in 3 to 5 years? If your topic requires you to interview 500 CEOs across 10 countries, but you have no funding and no team, it's not feasible. Is the data accessible? Do you have the necessary skills tools? Is the sample size reachable? Let's be aware of some red flags. Needing massive survey responses in a limited time. Geographical accessibility like study of Antarctica but living in Mumbai. Data analysis using SEM but not knowing R or SPSS. Test 2. Novelty. Does it add something new? Is this already over-researched? You don't have to change the world, but you must offer a unique perspective, a new application of a theory, or a fresh set of data. How to check? We can search Google Scholar to search your topic of PhD to see how many relevant results are generated. In Indian context, PhD thesis database Shodhganga can be used to check if thesis on the topic already exists. Log in to scholarly database like Scopus or Web of Science to search for recent papers of last 5 years. Rule of thumb may be that 0 to 5 PhD on similar topic may be considered as good or novel. 5 to 20 PhD may be seen as moderate with a need to narrow the topic further. 20 plus PhD will be over-researched. Just pick different gap. Test 3. Significance. So what? That's the question your DRC will ask. If your results could change government policy, improve management practices, or advance scientific theory, then your topic has significance. Questions are asked like, does this matter to real people? Will this contribute to theory or policy? There can be two types of significance. Practical, which helps policymakers, businesses, communities. Theoretical, for advancing academic understanding or testing new framework. Your topic must pass all 3 tests. If it fails one, narrow it further or pick a different gap. Did you know that a simple mismatch between your PhD topic and your supervisor's expertise can delay your degree by 3 to 6 months? In India, the Doctoral Research Committee, DRC, strictly enforces this common regulation. Under Common Indian University Regulations, 3 things must happen. First, your supervisor must be officially registered with the university to guide PhD. Second, your topic must align with your supervisor's specific expertise, and yes, the DRC checks this thoroughly. Finally, your supervisor must formally approve your synopsis before it is submitted to the DRC. What happens if your topic doesn't match their expertise? The DRC will reject it. You'll be forced to either completely change your topic or find a brand new supervisor. The cost? A devastating loss of 3 to 6 months of your academic journey. How do you avoid this trap? Before finalizing anything, do your homework on your supervisor. Check their research area on the university website, look at their published papers from the last 5 years, and see what their past PhD students wrote about. When you approach them, present 3 distinct topic options. Say something like, I have identified 3 research gaps from my coursework. Which one fits your expertise best? Always secure their verbal approval before you start writing the synopsis. This shows you are proactive. Supervisors respect scholars who come prepared, not empty-handed. Now, how do you make sure you aren't reinventing the wheel? Use Google Scholars by using filter to scan recent papers. Use Shodhganga. It is the largest repository of PhD theses in India. Search your keywords. If you find 50 theses that are exactly like yours, you have a problem. You need to pivot. But if you find 0, be careful. That might mean there is no data available to study. You are looking for a sweet spot, a topic where there is a clear academic conversation happening, but no one has addressed the exact angle you are proposing. Use Scopus or Web of Science database for searching the keywords from your topic for global literature. Here's a free tool you can use today, the PhD Topic Validation Checklist, PDF. Download it from the description. It has 10 yes/no questions to validate your topic. If you answer no to any question, narrow your topic further or pick a different gap. Let's recap what we learned. Most scholars struggle because topics are broad, no gap awareness, or supervisor mismatch. Gaps framework: known, unknown, contradictory, understudied. Find gaps systematically. Scoping formula: broad interest to domain to context to gaps to defensible problem. 3 tests: feasibility, novelty, significance. Pass all 3. Check over-researched. 0 to 5 PhD is good. Supervisor alignment, get approval before writing synopsis. In our next episode, we are entering phase 2, how to conduct a systematic literature review. This is the skill that will save you months of wasted time. You can download my PhD topic validation checklist in the description below to get started. Comment if the checklist is helpful to you. See you in the next episode.